The Avro Canada CF-105 Arrow was a delta-winged interceptor aircraft designed by Avro Canada. The Arrow held a promise of over Mach 2 speeds at altitudes of over 50,000 feet and was intended to serve as the Royal Canadian Air Force's primary interceptor aircraft. The Avro Arrow could have been many things. It might have even become the fastest plane in the world. It could have propelled Canada to the forefront of the aviation industry, but the program was abruptly cancelled. In this video, we are going to take a close look at the development of the Avro Canada CF-105 Arrow, what the aircraft was and could really do, and why the program was cancelled. So stay tuned. After World War II, the USSR began developing long-range bombers and were also testing their own nuclear weapons. And so, the fear was that the Soviet Union could now use their fleet of long-range strategic bombers to fly over the Arctic Circle and deliver a nuclear strike on North America. The best defense against these long-range bombers were lightning-fast interceptor aircraft, capable of destroying an incoming bomber before it reached its target. One of the first companies to start work on such an aircraft was Avro Canada. Requirements for the aircraft were that it should fly at combat speeds of Mach 1.5 or 1,150 km per hour at altitudes of 70,000 feet, and it should have a combat radius of 370 kilometers. In 1953, when the requirements were first presented, the existing aircraft engines were terribly inefficient, and the optimal wing choice to meet this requirement was the delta wing. This is the wing shaped in form of a triangle. This wing shape allows for more storage space and creates additional surface area, creating more lift, although this wing design sacrificed some maneuverability at lower altitudes. These disadvantages were minimized because interceptors were meant to fly in straight paths at high speeds and altitudes. Avro submitted their designs in May 1953 for a plane that was referred to as the CF-105 Arrow. The Arrow was a cutting-edge aircraft. Its tail and delta wing design would give it more lift at supersonic speeds. Unlike other aircraft that store their weapons externally under the wings or the belly, the Arrow would store its payload in an internal weapons bay to reduce drag. The Arrow was also the first non-experimental aircraft to implement fly-by-wire system. The Arrow was powered by two turboshaft engines, the RB-106. The RB-106 engine was cutting edge, able to generate over 25,000 pounds of thrust with afterburner. The Arrow could carry up to 8 radar-guided M4 Falcon missiles and up to 2 Air-2 Genie rockets. These air-to-air rockets didn't need a guidance system. Each rocket carried a 2-kiloton nuclear warhead that would detonate mid-air and destroy any aircraft close to the explosion. In December of 1953, the Canadian government appropriated 27 million Canadian dollars, which is $193 in today's money. However, the Soviets introduced a new jet bomber, the Mach M4 Bison, and also that the Soviets were testing the hydrogen bomb. These two pieces of news spooked the Canadian government into upping the fundings for the project. In March 1955, the Canadian government approved an additional 260 million Canadian dollars, which is about $2 billion in today's money, for 5 Arrow Mach 1 test aircrafts, followed by 35 combat-ready Mach 2 aircrafts. Negotiations also began by the United Kingdom to sell up to 150 Arrows to the Royal Air Force. By mid-1954, tests began with computer-based testing and real-world testing with small models. These models were about 3 meters long, and their purpose was to determine the design's aerodynamic drag and stability. The prototypes were powered by NASA's Nike rockets. One of the model planes reached a speed of Mach 1.7. After the tests, the models were crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. Development of the Arrow ran into a series of complications. First, it was the engine. The Rolls-Royce 106 program was cancelled in 1954, which pushed Avro to use a backup, the Wright J67. Then in 1955, the J67 program was cancelled, forcing Avro to turn to the Pratt & Whitney J75. This made the engineers to alter the design multiple times to account for changes in engine's weight and shape. After the engine, the Canadian Air Force were not happy with the performance of the Falcon missile system and wanted to switch to the M7 Sparrow II, which was being developed by Douglas. Finally, on October 4, 1957, the Arrow Mach 1 was unveiled. This was also the same day that the Soviet Union launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik. The aircraft was sleek and beautiful with its delta wing. It was 23.7 meters long, 6.45 meters tall, and had a wingspan of 15 meters. In 1958, the Avro Arrow made its first flight. The Arrow was fast. Even with the less powerful Pratt & Whitney engines, it passed the Air Force requirement of Mach 1.5, and on September 14, 1958, the Arrow reached a top recorded speed of Mach 1.98. On February 28, 1959, the Canadian government made a shocking announcement that the Arrow project had been cancelled. Testing would stop immediately, all existing aircraft would be scrapped, planes would be shredded, and 15,000 employees employed with the project laid off. Several reasons were given for the cancellation. One of them was that the Soviet Union launched Sputnik on the same day as the Arrow's unveiling. The government knew what that meant. If a nuclear attack happened, the bombs would now be carried by ballistic missiles. Within 3 years of Sputnik's launch, the United Kingdom ended all domestic aircraft developments and cancelled their order with Avro. Another reason for the cancellation was that the McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom and the Convair Delta Dart were both on track to enter service at the same time as the Arrow. Even though they were slower and carried less missiles than the Arrow costed more than the two aircrafts combined per unit, nearly $9.7 million. Cancellation of the Arrow has been debated, since engineers at Avro were already considering adapting the Arrow to fill different roles, including bombing, surveillance, and air superiority. It is absolutely possible that if given the chance, the Arrow could have excelled in these roles. 3 years after the cancellation, Avro Canada had completely shut down. Some of its engineers went on to the United Kingdom and the United States, where they worked with Lockheed, NASA, Boeing, and British Aerospace. Some of them even worked on things like the space shuttles. Following the project's cancellation, the Canadian government ordered everything related to the Arrow project to be destroyed. They feared the project was infiltrated by Soviet spies, and that any knowledge of the plane and its weapons system needed to be destroyed for security purposes. So, what are your thoughts? Please share them with me in the comments. If you found the video interesting or learned something new today, then give the video a like and share it with a friend. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell so that you will always be updated when we upload a new video like this one. And don't just go, we have dozens of videos like this for you to watch. Just click on another one and enjoy. Thanks for watching and see you in another video.